Good morning, boys and girls. So I have, it's Monday, which means it's my day to add some videos. And one of the things that I want to add today is another story from Magic Hoofbeats, Horse Tales from Many Lands. And these stories are all old stories, but they are retold by Josepha Sherman and illustrated by Linda Wingerter. And this is a Barefoot Books story. So Barefoot Books is the publisher, and they have given me permission to read this story aloud. Today, this story is from Russia, and it's called Horse of the Steppes. And there's a beautiful picture of a dapple gray horse in this picture. And dapple gray is one of my favorite colors. I love dapple gray horses, and I really love bay horses too. That's like a dark brown with a black mane and tail. I feel like if I were a horse, I would be a bay. So, horses have been a part of everyday life in Russia for over 6,000 years. Without them, it would have been impossible for people to colonize the wild Russian steppes and forests. So when they're talking about steppes, they're talking about mountains that have, like, the land is flat in steps as it goes down. Or for the Russian army to operate effectively in the era before the development of military hardware. Horses also played a vital role in the long-distance communications, pulling sleighs and troikas with news and goods from one part of the country to another. I wonder what a troika is. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm guessing it's probably like some kind of a wagon, but I've never heard of a troika before, so I'll look that up and let you know. In addition, Russians have long enjoyed horse racing, especially trotting races and other equestrian sports. Equestrian is a fancy word for horses. With games such as chavgon, a form of polo, and supramak, a kind of basketball played on horseback, being extremely popular in the lands around the Caucasus Mountains. Russians have always had a deep affection for their horses. Stories abound of incidents in which people have been saved by their dear troika hacks, or their brave mounts. The Don, a type of Russian steppe horse, can guide its rider to safety through a snow blizzard or the densest of fogs. From the Don, the Budini was later bred as a speedy and robust cavalry horse. A cavalry horse would be one used in the military. In the mountain regions, many people owe their lives to the sure-footed and intrepid Kabardine, a mountain horse known for its incredible endurance over long distances. One of the most famous of the Russian breeds is the Orlov, which was developed by a wealthy Russian aristocrat. Aristocrat is a fancy word for a very important family that probably was in the monarchy or had to do with the monarchy, which is like kings and queens. Count Orlov, as a trotter during the 18th century, a small, neat horse with a long stride, the Orlov trotter can hold its pace over considerable distances, and this, combined with its handsome physique is like its body type, and bold character, has earned it pride of place in Russian folklore and literature. The breeds that evolved in the harsh climate of the Russian steppes needed to be able to endure extreme conditions and to find sustenance, or food, deep beneath the frost and snow of winter. The Bashkir, a tough steppe and mountain pony, is one of the hardiest breeds in the world. Bashkirs are usually chestnut-colored, that's like kind of a reddish brown, with thick, curly winter coats that can be spun to make cloth. They can fend for themselves in sub-zero conditions and can work day after day without needing supplementary food. The little humpback horse in the next story is likely to be a Bashkir. He is playful, intelligent, and resourceful, and shows everyone that horses should not be judged on appearance. So this story is called The Little Humpbacked Horse, and it's Russian. Once in the days when the Tsar ruled Russia, a Tsar is like a ruler or a king, there lived a farmer with 3 sons, Danilo, Gavrilo, and Ivan. Now Ivan was a kind, gentle young man, but his older brothers, who were cold and sharp as ice, called him Ivan the Fool. One morning, the farmer went out to his fields. How terrible! A thief had come during the night and stolen some hay. I will catch the sheaf, Danilo boasted. That night he sat waiting in the field, but the night was cold. "Why should I freeze just to save some hay?" Danilo asked. Finding a warm corner of the barn, he fell asleep. In the morning, the farmer found that more of his hay had been stolen. Danilo only shrugged. "I did my best to scare the thief away." Nor did Gavrilo fare any better the second night. He too fell asleep and let the thief steal hay. "Now it is my turn," Ivan exclaimed. "What, you?" his brothers laughed. "Foolish Ivan! What can you do that we could not?" He could stay awake and on guard, Ivan told himself. Hugging his arms against the cold, Ivan patrolled back and forth through the field. All at once he saw the thief, a beautiful mare, so white she blazed like the moon, with a mane and tail like burning gold. Ivan waited and waited, then jumped. He landed on the mare's back, but he landed backward, facing her tail. The mare leaped straight up in the air, and Ivan clung to that tail with all his might. He clung as she bucked and kicked and at last raced off like a comet into the night. No matter what the mare did, Ivan stuck to her back. Finally, the mare, panting and shuddering, returned to the field and stopped. "You have won," she said. "Keep me in your barn for 3 days, Ivan, but let no one see me. Each dawn, let me out to roll in the morning dew. At the end of the 3 days, give me my freedom, and I shall leave you a wondrous reward." Ivan did as the white mare bade, hiding her away, and then staggered wearily home. When his father asked him if he had seen the thief, Ivan said with a tired laugh, "I not only saw the thief, I rode that thief near and far and near again. And can you believe that I am truly weary?" His father didn't believe him, not with Danilo and Gavrilo there to jeer. Ivan didn't care. He went straight to sleep. 3 days passed. Each dawn he let the white mare roll in the morning dew, and on the morning of the 4th day he let her go. The white mare soared off, swift as a comet, and Ivan sighed and turned to the barn. Sure enough, there was the wonder she had promised. 2 beautiful stallions pranced there, one a rich gleaming brown, the other a soft glowing gray, their manes and tails burning like gold. A third horse peeped out from the barn. He was a tiny fellow, no bigger than a pony. His back was humped, his ears were long and floppy, but his eyes were bright and clever. Ivan groomed and pampered the 2 beautiful stallions, but he quickly came to love the little humpbacked horse, who played with him like a dog, clapping his long ears together for joy. So here you can see this illustration and this one, which shows Ivan and the little humpbacked horse, who looks a lot like a donkey or a burro. But 2 shining stallions cannot be kept a secret for long. Danilo and Gavrilo, spying on their brother, saw the horses. "Why should it be that our fool of a brother who owns such splendid steeds? We could sell those horses to the Tsar himself." That night Danilo and Gavrilo stole the 2 shining stallions, and off they went to the great fair that was held in the Tsar's royal city. The morning came, and Ivan went to the barn. The little humpback horse greeted him with joy, bouncing about and clapping his long ears together. "Where are the 2 shining stallions?" Ivan cried. "Your brothers have stolen them." "Ah, don't look sad. We can overtake them with ease." The little horse trotted forward. "Come, sit on my back. Don't worry, you won't harm me. Sit tight and hold fast to my ears." Wondering, Ivan sat on the little horse's back and took a firm grip on the long ears. The little horse shot forward like an arrow from a bow. So fast did he speed that in less time than it took Ivan to catch his breath, they had overtaken Danilo and Gavrilo and the 2 shining stallions. "Where are you taking my horses?" Ivan cried. Danilo and Gavrilo were astonished to see their brother had caught up with them. They laughed to see him riding so ridiculous a horse. But they said, hanging their heads, "We did not want to steal from you, but you are very selfish, brother. Our poor parents struggle to feed us all, yet you hide these splendid steeds that could fetch a fine price at the Tsar's fair." "True enough," Ivan admitted, "but since the horses are mine, I will go with you to sell them." Danilo and Gavrilo frowned. They did not want Ivan with them, but they nodded. Off they all went to the royal fair. Sure enough, there was the Tsar himself, a cruel, foolish old man. He saw the 2 shining stallions and at once wished to buy them, paying Ivan with 2 sacks of gold. Ivan told his brothers, "Take this gold to our parents." Danilo and Gavrilo went home. Meanwhile, the royal grooms tried to lead away the two shining stallions, but the stallions bucked and kicked and refused to be led. "Stop that," Ivan said to the horses. "Mind your manners." He took them by the halters, and at once the horses became mild as lambs. The Tsar saw this and told Ivan, "You are my new head groom." That did not sit well with the other grooms. They spied on Ivan and saw him talking over his sudden good fortune with the little humpback horse. Then the grooms went straight to the Tsar and lied. "Your new head groom is a sorcerer. He claimed that he could capture the golden pig with the silver tusks, but he refused to give that prize to you." "Bring Ivan to me," the Tsar thundered. So Ivan was dragged before the Tsar, who ordered, "Bring me the golden pig with the silver tusks, and do it within 7 days, or you shall die." Ivan went sadly back to the stables, where the little humpback horse asked, "What's wrong?" "I must bring the Tsar." I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, I have terrible allergies right now. "I must bring the Tsar the golden pig with the silver tusks within 7 days, Ivan replied, "or I will die." "That is not such a terrible task," the little horse said. "I shall help you. Go to the Tsar and tell him that you must have a bucket of golden corn, a bucket of silver wheat, and a rope of the strongest silk." And here is a beautiful illustration of Ivan with the two stallions. And you can see that one is bay and one is gray, my favorite colors. Ivan did just that. When the little humpbacked horse breathed over them, the buckets and rope fit into a small saddlebag. Ivan and the little humpbacked horse set out on their journey. The little horse ran like the wind, soared like the eagle, and soon they were in the land of the south, in the valley of the golden pig with the silver tusks. "The golden pig has 12 sucklings," the little horse told Ivan. "We must catch all of them." Following the little horse's advice, Ivan placed the golden corn at one end of the valley and the silver wheat at the other. The golden pig came running, gleaming in the sun, to eat the golden corn. Her 12 sucklings are the baby pigs, hurried to eat the silver wheat. Ivan caught the baby pigs one by one, tying them to his saddle with a strong silken rope. He leaped onto the little humpback horse, and they began to race back to the Tsar's court. As soon as the golden pig with the silver tusks saw that her sucklings were being carried away, she raced after them, right into the royal palace. "Here they are," Ivan cried to the Tsar. "I've brought you the golden pig with the silver tusks, and all her sucklings as well." And he went wearily off to the stables to rest. Now, even the boyars, the nobles, were jealous of this amazing new head groom. "This was but a joke to him," they whispered to the Tsar. "If he were truly loyal to you, he would bring you the mare with the 7 manes." So the Tsar ordered Ivan, to bring him to the mare with 7 manes, and do it within 7 days, or die a horrible death. "This is not such a terrible task," the little humpback horse told Ivan. "This time we shall need a stone stable with 1 entrance and 1 exit. We must take with us a horse hide and a heavy iron hammer." Ivan obeyed, ordering that a stone stable be built and that he be given the horse hide and the iron hammer. The little humpback horse breathed on the hide and the hammer, and they fit into the saddlebag. Off the little horse flew with Ivan to a vast green meadow. "Here is where the mare with the 7 manes grazes," the little horse said. "She and her 7 fiery sons. Sew me into the horse hide and be ready with the iron hammer." When the mare with the 7 manes saw another horse in her meadow, she charged, screaming with rage. As she tore the horse hide from the little humpbacked horse, Ivan sprang from hiding and hit her between the ears with the iron hammer. It was a blow that would have slain an ordinary horse, but it merely stunned the mare with the 7 manes. She let Ivan lead her back to the Tsar's palace, and her 7 sons followed right into the stone stable. The entrance was shut behind them, and Ivan and the little humpback horse rode safely out of the exit, barring it behind them. "The horses are yours," Ivan told the Tsar. Now the boyars were truly worried. How could they ever be rid of this troublesome head groom? So they went to the Tsar and said, "Capturing the pig and the mare were mere jests for Ivan. Let him show his loyalty by a true test. Ask him to bring you the beautiful princess of the golden boat, she whom you've long wished to wed." The princess of the golden boat had refused the Tsar, Remembering this, the Tsar thundered at Ivan, "Bring me the princess of the golden boat, and do it within 7 days, or you shall die." Ivan trudged sadly back to the stable, where the little humpback horse heard what was wrong and said, "This is not such a terrible task. This time you must ask for 2 gold-embroidered scarves, a long silken tent, and all the trappings of a royal feast." Here's a picture of the golden pig with the silver tusks. Oh my goodness, wait till you see this princess. She's beautiful. The little horse breathed on them. Ivan placed them in the saddlebags, and they rode and flew and rode to the sea at the edge of the world. "Here you must pitch the tent," the little horse said. "Spread out the scarves and set out the feast on them. Then hide behind the tent and wait. The princess of the golden boat will come ashore and enter the tent to see what lies within. Then you must seize her and call for me." Ivan did as he was told. Here came the princess of the golden boat, which was rowed with magic silver oars. The boat came ashore, and the princess entered the tent. Ivan was struck with love from his first sight of her. Instead of seizing her, he could do nothing but stare in wonder. The princess tasted some of the feast and then sprang back to her golden boat. Soon the silver oars had rowed her out of sight. The little humpback horse galloped up. "What happened? What went wrong?" "It was my fault," Ivan said. "I saw her, loved her, and failed to move. Now I shall never see her again." Never mind," said the little horse. "She will surely come again, but if you fail this time, there will be nothing for you but to let the Tsar put you to death." The new day came. The princess of the golden boat did come to see the mysterious tent once more. This time, Ivan didn't hesitate. He sprang from hiding and seized her. And when the princess saw what a handsome young man he was, she forgot to struggle. "I can't take you back," Ivan told her. "The Tsar wishes to wed you." "I must go with you," she said, "or the Tsar will kill you." "You shall return," the little humpback horse told them, "and all will be well." They rode back to the Tsar's palace. He was full of joy to see the lovely princess of the golden boat there in his court, and told her, "You will make a most wonderful bride." "Not for you," she snapped. "You are too old and ugly and cruel. Only if you grow young and handsome and kind will I wed you." "How can that happen?" the Tsar asked. And here she is. Look at that picture. And look at, there's a mermaid on the front of her boat. I love mermaids. "You must place 3 great cauldrons in the courtyard. The first must be filled with scalding mare's milk, the second with boiling water, and the third with cold water. He who is brave enough to bathe for 1 minute in the first cauldron, 2 minutes in the second cauldron, and 3 minutes in the third cauldron will instantly become so splendid a man that it can scarcely be believed. I will wed whatever man will undergo such a test." The Tsar was filled with fright. Who could possibly survive such a test? "Send for my head groom," he commanded. When Ivan was brought before him, the Tsar ordered, "You shall bathe in 3 cauldrons, 1 of cold water, 1 of boiling water, and 1 of scalding mare's milk." The Tsar thought that if Ivan could survive, so could he, and that if Ivan should not survive, well then, the Tsar would be rid of this stranger who could solve every problem and might someday grow too powerful. Terrified, Ivan went back to the stable. When the little humpback horse asked what was wrong, Ivan told him bitterly, "I am to be treated like any chicken or pig and prepared for dinner. The Tsar means to boil me to death." "Weep not, my friend," the little horse said soothingly. "Now, at last, I may perform a true service for you. When you go to face the 3 cauldrons, insist that you have a chance to bid me farewell, and then and there, I shall gallop 3 times about the cauldrons, then dip my nose into each and sprinkle you. Once I have done so, don't hesitate a moment, but leap into each cauldron in turn. Trust in me, and all will be well." No sooner had he finished speaking than the guards came to bring Ivan before the Tsar and all the courtiers. There stood the 3 cauldrons, 2 of them boiling fiercely. "Bathe," the Tsar commanded. "First, let me say farewell to my little humpback horse," Ivan said. "He had been almost a brother to me." Here came the little humpback horse, playing and prancing like a foal, clapping his long ears together happily. He burst into a gallop, racing around the 3 cauldrons, once, twice, thrice, dipping his nose into each and sprinkling his master. No sooner had the little humpback horse finished than Ivan leaped boldly into the first cauldron, filled with scalding mare's milk, and was not harmed. He leaped into the second cauldron, filled with boiling water, and was not harmed. He leaped into the third cauldron filled with cold water, and if he had gone into it a good-looking fellow, he rose out of it a true regal prince, so splendid that even the boyars began to bow before him. "You shall not have all the magic," the Tsar cried. Without another word, he hurled himself into the cauldron of scalding mare's milk, but there was no little humpback horse to shield him, and in an instant that was the end of the Tsar. The princess of the golden boat stepped forth. "Your Tsar would have made me his wife, but I will wed only the man who brought me here." Everyone cheered. "Yes," they cried, "you two shall rule this land." Ivan and the princess and the golden boat were wed that very day and took their thrones. The little humpback horse stayed with them as their counselor and friend, and so they ruled wisely and happily. And there's the picture. Okay. Boys and girls, one of the things that we are working on, one of our standards this week, is compare and contrast. And so I am wondering if you could go back and listen to some of the other horse stories and compare and contrast either the horses or the character in the story. And when you compare and contrast, it's really important to talk about, remember, compare means to talk about how things are the same, and contrast means to talk about how things are different. And I would like for you to create a Venn diagram. Remember, that's a circle and another circle with a space in the middle where you talk about how they're the same. And then on the outside circles, you talk about how they're different. So I'm going to have you do that as the activity for today. I hope you have a great day. Bye.